take a peek and stuff. I'm winning.
That's for you if you need it.
We had to come back.
Shovel pass? Can I give him a shovel pass?
John, are we ready?
Complimentary shovel pass? Oh, you got all kinds of goodies in here. Ah. Well, you want a minute or a starburst?
It's gonna be a long meeting.
Just gonna work on the old shovel.
I'd like to welcome everybody to our August 16th City Council meeting. If you could please rise for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you could remain standing while our Deputy Mayor, Karen View, leads us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, we pray for the dedicated and skilled lifeguards who work to keep our residents and visitors safe in our waters. May they be guided by your wisdom and compassion as they watch over and protect those in their care. We pray for their knowledge and skill, physical and emotional well-being, and their awareness and training. Thank you for the gift of lifeguarding and the safety it brings. In your name we pray. Amen. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Our island lost a great philanthropic person this week. Mr. Jack Parker passed away suddenly this week. Mr. Parker and his wife Patricia were very generous and sponsored numerous students in their Catholic education while encouraging the youth of our community to give back. Mr. Parker is survived by his wife of 61 years, Patricia, their daughters Janet and Jill, 13 grandchildren, and 18 great-grandchildren. Services will be tomorrow at St. Thomas from 9:30 with Mass. Thank you. Please be seated.
I'm a little late. Lynn, can you read the Open Public Meetings Act announcement?
This is to advise the meeting notices covering this meeting have been sent and posted as required under the Open Public Meetings Act.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have our swearing in ceremony for Police Officer Michael O'Hearn. Chief, if you could join us up front.
Officer O'Hearn, come down. You got your speech ready? So once again, I have the honor of swearing in a full-time police officer with the retirement of Sergeant Devine in the spring. It opened up a spot. Mike grew up in Lacey Township area, went to Lacey Township High School, where he specialized in track and cross country. So we're looking forward to getting him out there and releasing him on some people, catching him. As you can see, he's ready to run. You know, then he took the Class 2 certification, worked for Point Pleasant for about a year and a half. And then we were able to steal him, so to speak. It's always nice to grab a guy who's got some experience. We brought him on as a Class 2. We put him out there, works well with us. Everybody vouched for him, and now we're going to swear him in full time. So we'll do the swearing in. There'll be a break. Family, feel free to take pictures during the swearing in, but also afterwards, and then they'll reconvene the meeting. I want to thank his family and friends. You know, I say this every time, but you're joining the profession with him. You know, there's going to be times where you might miss a birthday. There might be an empty seat at a holiday, and it's because he's out here protecting Brigantine. So he chose a serious profession, and, you know, he might come home in a bad mood. Just kind of work with him. He might have saw some things that you shouldn't have to see, and just be there for him. And we appreciate you coming along for the ride with him, and we'll have the mayor swear him in.
Hold the Bible. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. I, Michael O'Hearn,
I, Michael O'Hearn,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the state of New
and that I will bear true faith
Jersey, and that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same,
to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United
in
States
the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all of the duties
required for the position
required for the position
of Brigantine Police Officer
of Brigantine Police Officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Welcome to the force.
Hands of the sturgeon.
I just want to officially welcome Michael O'Hearn to the Brigantine Police Department. We have an outstanding police family here, and I will tell you, as the mayor of Brigantine, and on behalf of all of City Council, I can tell you that we are very, very proud of our police department. We have an outstanding record of excellence, and the duties that you guys perform keep all of our families safe. And we're very grateful to you for choosing to be here in Brigantine, and to all of our officers for everything you guys do each and every day. We're going to break for executive session. If the family would like to come up and take pictures after that, feel free. Welcome. All right, so we're going to have an executive session tonight. This is going to include contract negotiations and personnel. Lynn, can you read the resolution?
Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the governing body wishes to discuss matters of personnel and contract negotiations, minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires that confidentiality, then the minutes can be made public. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the public be excluded from this meeting. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Perfect. Can we have a motion and second? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, seeing none, motion passed. All right, we'll be back in a little bit.
Never enough.
Feel free.
Congratulations.
Never like it.
This is a big floor. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I just got 10 seconds. Yeah. We know. I know. And then, yes. So the next one is make it everything out there. He's gonna go out there with me, guy, maybe go out there and take it. Let's see.
I'm assuming ready. Here.
Open up the.
You notice something?
Used to pull a hand. You remember that? Yeah. Frank showed Frank. That was their motto. Oh, yeah. Denny's beverages. Great. What's the speaker in the house? Sometimes too. Yeah. No. Orange soda. Only weed myself up. I can still drink a nice orange soda. I'm a total Mountain Dew guy. I got a 16-ounce bottle of Mountain Dew. Last me like put the cap on it. It'll last me like 4 meals. I take that stuff so. It's like it's not good. Sorry. I should call you. Hey, I like being surprised.
Way to throw the poor guy out.
Working on the HVAC.
We're gonna
I don't know. We've gone through this before.
let's see how this works out.
All right, you guys ready? All right, can we have a motion and second to return from executive session?
I'll make that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, seeing none opposed, we'll return from executive session. Michael, can you summarize?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we had a closed session, and again, we cannot disclose the exact specific things that occurred in that closed session, but I can summarize for the public that we discussed personnel matters, shared services opportunities, and various potential litigation matters.
Perfect, thank you. And probably one of my favorite things here in the city is our beach patrol, and I would like Chief Emick to come up and join me.
You wear shoes.
Nope.
One of the things we're here today too is to recognize and honor our beach patrol competition team. We had an outstanding season, and I actually want the chief to say a couple words before I speak, so I'm going to turn it over to the chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council. Thanks to the city manager. Appreciate being here and appreciate being recognized. The BCBP had a great season this year. If you followed along in the local papers, we won 6 out-of-town races this year, which is unheard of. Pretty much everything we touched this year turned to gold, and it was one of those seasons that's going to be memorable for the rest of our lives. We capped it off last Friday night with a victory in the South Jersey Lifeguard Championship. The South Jersey Lifeguard Championship is probably the biggest one that we go to each year. It's all the beach patrols from Brigantine to Cape May Point, 15 different patrols. And the Brigantine City Beach Patrol has won this 2 times previous. 1992, we tied. And in 1979, we won in Atlantic City. So this victory was something that's going to go down in history forever. Mayor Sarah being an ex-lifeguard and the lifeguards back here. And I've already received Facebook messages from old lifeguards that are flying in next year to come to the event and looking forward for their t-shirts. But anyway, I'd just like to thank you for recognizing all the men and women of the Beach Patrol this year. They're out there doing a great job. We're over 550 rescues this year. I think that's very important for people to hear that our lifeguards are keeping this community safe. And the racing is a big part of it. I feel by racing, each of these lifeguards gets better in the water and hones their skills. And I think it really has been one of those seasons that's going to be memorable forever. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thank you, City Manager. Appreciate it.
And before we have our competition team come up, I can tell you that racing's not just about going out and competing. It's about showcasing the outstanding lifeguarding skills that our beach patrol has. And I will stack our beach patrol up against anybody in the country. We are outstanding, and we see that. We have a very, very deep team. Some of these other beach patrols, especially in South Jersey, their team is made up of maybe 3 to 5 people. We have probably 20 to 30. And that really speaks to the outstanding performance and skill that our lifeguards have. And I can tell you probably the holy grail of beach patrol racing is the South Jerseys. One of the things we say in being a former beach patrol rower, winning the jerseys is achieving immortality. And we have some gentlemen here who won that title outright. And I know for the Savell brothers, it was very, very impressive to see that. And I think history in the making. Not only did we win the doubles, but I think for the first time in Beach Patrol history, this race has been going on since 1950. First time in Beach Patrol history, we think that you had someone who won the doubles and won the singles in the same race. And that is something that's very impressive and I think has never been done before. And if it has been done, it's very rare. So I would like the entire competition team to come up and join while I read this proclamation and present this to the Beach Patrol. So any of our competitors that are here, please come on up. Yep. Any of them. North Beach, all the races. I want our whole race team that's here. Molly here, Hoffman. There you go. She's trying to hide. There's no hiding. What's up? It's perfect. Makes me feel home, like I'm at home. I actually almost wore flip-flops just for you guys. All right, so I wanted to read this. Where it is with great pride that the city of Brigantine congratulates the 2023 Brigantine City Beach Patrol for winning the Chief Bill Coon Lifeguard Invitations. Whereas 2023 Brigantine City Beach Patrol also won first place in the Lavalette Tournament, first place at Ship Bottom Invitationals, first place at the Island Beach State Park Invitational, first place in the Ship Bottom Mermaid Classic Women's Tournament, second place at the Dutch Hoffman's Memorial Race, second place at the Longport Memorial Race, third place in the Margate Memorial Races, and third place in the South Jersey Paddleboard Championships. And whereas the Brigantine City Beach Patrol has brought honor and recognition to the city by winning the South Jersey Lifeguard Championships. Now, therefore, I, Vince Sarah, Mayor of the City of Brigantine and former lifeguard, on behalf of City Council and the people of the City of Brigantine, do hereby commend and congratulate the 2023 Brigantine City Beach Patrol competition team. Congratulations. Picture? Like, I wanted to feel useful.
Thank you.
Hold on, I'm the photographer.
Other way, John. Photoshop.
I'll send it down. Paper.
Hey, Chief, great job.
Great job, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul. You're good.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
We're gonna go.
And for all our lifeguards, you don't have to stay for the whole meeting. John, you gotta stay.
I wonder where they're going.
Yeah.
Right?
They're going back to work.
I was on
Yes. It's too long.
Hey, Paul.
only one that was a real swimmer.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a football.
Oh, really?
I was there as a ringer.
Here's a swimmer.
See you in the summer. Next up, we have our approval of our August 2nd, 2023 council meeting and executive session minutes. Can we have a motion and second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri, Haney,
Abstain.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
We have our approval of payroll, requisition list, and operating expenses. We have a motion and second.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri, Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
Next up, we have our public comment. This is on agenda items only. Anybody wishing to be heard on anything on the agenda, please come up, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no public comment, we're going to close the public portion. We have ordinance 11 of 2023. This is a public hearing and adoption, and this is an ordinance to amend the city code of the city of Brigantine, chapter 257-2, smoking on city property prohibited. We have a motion and second.
Some,
All right, at this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Anybody wishing to be heard on this issue, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no public participation, we're going to close the public portion. Any council comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney.
Yes.
DeLucre.
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon.
Yes.
Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-166, and this is contact person for the employment practices liability attorney consultation services for Atlantic County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund. And this would be naming our city manager, Tiger Platt, to the employment practices process. Can we have a motion and second?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney.
Yes.
DeLucre.
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon.
Yes.
Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-167, and this is authorizing a Green Communities Grant. This is from the NJUCF Green Communities Grant, and this is for up to $3,000 with a 50% match from the city. We have a motion second.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View, Lettieri, Haney.
Yes.
DeLucre.
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon.
Yes.
Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-168, and this is, the number right? It says 165 on here. All right, so resolution approving the submittal of an application to New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and the New Jersey Environmental Infrastructure Trust for infrastructure projects, and this is to fund water, sewer, and stormwater projects. We have a motion second.
So move.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney.
Yes.
DeLucre.
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon.
Yes.
Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-169, and this is a resolution by the City of Brigantine authorizing award of contract for well number 7 improvements to AC Schultes Incorporated. And this is in a do not exceed amount of, 100, the numbers are doubled here, I apologize. So $106,500. We have a motion second.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney.
Yes.
DeLucre.
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon.
Yes.
Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-170, and this is amending the City of Brigantine 2023 year municipal budget by the insertion of a special item of revenue and appropriation from the State of New Jersey Drunk Driving Enforcement Fund. This is in the amount of $5,989.62. We have a motion second.
Set.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney.
Yes.
DeLucre.
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon.
Yes.
Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-171, and this is amending the City of Brigantine 2023 year municipal budget by the insertion of a special item of revenue and appropriation from the State of New Jersey Labor Day Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over grant. This is in the amount of $5,250. We have a motion second.
So moved.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney.
Yes.
DeLucre.
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon.
Yes.
Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-172, and this is a resolution by the City of Brigantine, New Jersey, authorizing the award of contract to West Bay Construction for the reconstruction of various stormwaters and sanitary sewer systems in Brigantine. This is in the amount of $517,400. We have a motion second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney.
Yes.
DeLucre.
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon.
Yes.
Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-173, and this is the cancellation of outstanding checks. We have a motion second.
So moved.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View.
Yes.
Lettieri.
Yes.
Haney.
Yes.
DeLucre.
Yes.
Kane.
Yes.
Reardon.
Yes.
Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have our consent agenda. We have the Women's Surf Fishing Club of New Jersey Fishing Tournament request, Atlantic County Surf Fishing Derby request, Vernon Place Block Party request, and a request to close Fish Finder Way for life services for Joe Fumo. Can we have a motion second?
I'll make that motion.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View.
Yes.
Lettieri.
Yes.
Haney.
Yes.
DeLucre.
Yes.
Kane.
Yes.
Reardon.
Yes.
Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have our council manager committee discussions. Tiger?
Nothing from me, sir.
From our department heads.
Just remember, we have the Clean Communities beach cleanup this Saturday at 16th Street.
What time is that?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock at 16th Street. Thank you.
That's not shred. That's
Just clean up.
Perfect. Right, then I will turn it over to our deputy mayor.
All right, just quickly, Mark is doing great. We've only got a few more weeks for our Saturday morning farmers market. Green Fest Day will be held on the 26th, where we have all sorts of different activities and giveaways. Communities and green team, everybody. Also, on that day, there's going to be a rain barrel making workshop where people get to take home their own decorated rain barrel and use them in their gardens. Also, I just want to remind everybody that each week there are bins at the farmers market. They are collecting to recycle K-cups, clean K-cups. I know many of you use a Keurig machine. Just clean out those cups, bring them to the market, throw them in the bin. And also they're recycling old sneakers. I'm sure many of you have a ton of old sneakers sitting in the bottom of your closet. Just bring them out to the market and on Saturday morning and they send them away and recycle and repurpose them. And I just want to say that the Butterfly Project 13 and the avenue on the side of Below Love is still a work in progress. It's beautiful. They're still talking about moving the tree out of the way over the side and it just. That's it. Thanks.
Over to Paul Lettieri.
I just have the beach replenishment is now moved into 13th Street and we're further beyond moving along very quickly. Which part people out there all hours of the day and night sit and watch people.
Perfect. Dennis Haney.
Thank you, Mayor. Tip of the cap to our Brigantine City Beach Patrol for that incredible accomplishment. Having a couple ties of going back to 1979 since their last victory in the South Jerseys. That was awesome, and Mayor, they certainly know how to throw a party too afterwards, right? That was that was quite the post-game show, so to speak. So great bunch of guys and girls there. So way to go. Congratulations to Police Officer Michael Ahern on being sworn in full time. Nice to see. Have a new man on the job. And I just want to say that the VFW, there was a young lady. Her name is Shanna Vaughn. I really never really met Shannon before, but her parents live on the island. She's battling stage 4 cancer. And there was an event, benefit at the VFW this past Saturday, which plenty of people were able to make it. I was glad that I was able to make it myself. And a real outpouring of support and love. Brigantine Unplugged, band that plays at the Cove all the time. They donated their time, and they had a big tip thing up in the front. They donated all that money. The VFW donated the room, and I think it was also either $2,500 or $3,500. They also donated to Shanna's cause. So Brigantine strong through and through, and wish our best to Shanna Vaughn. She's got 3 young children, and God bless. She's got to fight. So other than that, as far as the committees, the short-term rental committee and windmill committees, I'm going to yield my time to you, Mayor, and also the rest of council. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Go to Rick DeLucre.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm going to sub-yield the time that Dennis just yielded to me, but I'll take some of my own time. I just want to join in congratulating the BCBP and Officer O'Hearn for wonderful accomplishments and accomplishments I'm sure yet to come. And as Paul mentioned, I was surprised to find out when I was riding my bike last night around 10:30 that the beach replenishment has turned into quite the tourist event. There was probably a couple dozen people up there just watching and socializing. Could have been some alcohol consumed. I don't know, Chief. I didn't see. So, take advantage of that. If you're bored enough, go up to the seawall and watch the sand come in. There seems to be a nice crowd tonight, some number of whom, I'm going to guess, want to talk about what? Rentals? Maybe rentals. I don't know. So that's enough from me. Thank you.
Go to Neil Kane.
I'm going to keep it short. Looks like there's a lot of people here and they're probably going to want to speak. So, yay. I just want to say congratulations to the lifeguards and congratulations to Officer O'Hearn. And I yield my time to these folks.
Mike Reardon.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight on a beautiful summer night, coming out here to help us figure things out and tell us your concerns, and looking forward to working together to resolve any issues we may have. Brigantine Beach Patrol, Officer O'Hearn, fabulous. Beach Patrol story is just unbelievable. Since 1980, that's 43 years we haven't hosted a South Jersey championship. It's really unbelievable. 92, we won it, but it was a tie. So I think we flipped the coin, or they, figured it out, but we didn't host that year. So anyway, that's good stuff. Cultural Arts Commission, we have 2 new members, Patricia Valenti and Joanne Shaley. Like to make a motion to accept them to be on the Cultural Arts Committee. Can I just get
We have a motion second.
I'll make that motion.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, none opposed. Motion passed. Just make sure that Lynn has their contact information.
All right. Thank you. Lynn, I believe you have the information, correct?
Yes.
Thanks. Economic Development Committee. Summer's been fabulous for new business on the island. I mean, we have, just to name a few, Olakai, La Scala, the Paddle Club, and of course, one of my favorites, Coastal Soul. If you haven't been down there to the new gift shop, it's something else. They have some very special things down there. I'd recommend stopping down there. Commercial buildings on the island, on top of economic development, and new businesses open up. They're in demand. They're selling. So it's good to see for Brigantine, see this growth and this good business going on here. This morning we welcomed Fox 29 and Bob Kelly, our favorite traffic guy, to the island. He was at Mission Cafe this morning. There's a fierce excitement down there. We had a lot of the island groups, baseball teams, the Rams players, the green team. It was just a great time. Unfortunately, the Women's World Cup semifinal was on, so it was only streaming, but it was quite good. Rams football season started, their first scrimmage this past weekend. We have the Sandlot baseball going on. Tom Rapici's doing a fabulous job with the baseball, softball, and all that. So much appreciation to Tom. Other than that, the last thing I have is I want to say thanks to the Public Works. An outstanding job this year. I mean, with everything that's going on, the island looks fabulous. So thank you, John, and all the Public Works people. And last but not least, the air show today. I had an opportunity to go over to Atlantic City. Hundreds of thousands of people on the beach and all over. And I was so happy to see that our groups, Defend Brigantine Beach, Save LBI, Protect Our Coast, Save the East Coast, all got together. There probably had to be at least 200 members of those groups
that showed signs and educated the people on what it was, and the amount of support that they received on the beach was just fabulous. So it's good to see, and I hope we can continue to fight that fight, and slow that process down. Thank you. I appreciate it. And of course, anytime, if anybody has any problems or concerns, my number's on the front page of the Brigantine Times. You can call me anytime. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. First of all, I'd like to thank the fire department. I know the fire department does a great job with Surf Jam every year. Outstanding event. I think this is the 18th annual Surf Jam, and it's really great for our community. And what's really important about it too, it's really good for our young surfers. There's a lot of young kids, both boys and girls, who some of their heroes are our firefighters, and to get to spend a little time with the firefighters out there and to compete against some of the local legends is it's a big day, and it's something we're very proud of. I know Public Works does an outstanding job setting that event up, making sure they have the support. A lot of police officers are out there helping out with that. And our beach patrol is always outstanding, making sure we keep people safe. And I think it's the community events like that that really make Brigantine special, and especially too for a lot of our young ladies. The surf culture is really changing. I know when I was younger, a lot of times young girls and women didn't get a lot of respect out on the lineup, but to see how many women are getting involved, especially young girls, into surfing is really, really impressive. And I know it's events like this that really help them to bond and come together. So thank you very much. And please make sure all of your departments know how much we appreciate what you guys do, especially for the kids on the island. First thing I want to talk about is potential litigation. Having Brigantine join in with the municipalities of LBI when it comes to potential litigation against some of these ocean wind projects. If you look at the division between how the ocean wind projects are going down, you have Orsted, which is from Atlantic City south, and you have Atlantic Shores, which is from Atlantic City north. So Brigantine probably finds itself in more of an alignment with LBI because the projects are very similar. Cape May County is heavily engaged right now in litigation. Ocean City is also engaged in litigation right now. I think for us, and my recommendation is that we move in this direction. I had an opportunity to meet with the attorney who's representing the municipalities in LBI. Councilman Mike Reardon, Councilman Neil Kane joined me in that meeting. We also had representatives from the Down Beach communities to see if it made sense for them to join in with our lawsuit, or if it made sense for them to join in with Cape May counties. That's a decision that they need to make. They're in a little bit of a different project than us. One of the things that we're looking at, there could be potentially real damages to Brigantine. If you look at the construction operation plans that are out there, so this isn't our information. This is information that is provided by, the windmill companies that are out there. There could be a 15 to 20% loss in property values and a 15 to 20% loss in tourism dollars, in our area. And that's something that's severe that we need to look into. There's been many flaws with the state approvals process, and a big part of that is, as municipalities, when these projects go forward, we have a right to an impartial review of these projects. Right now, if you look at the New Jersey State BPU, they have been anything but impartial. There are members of the BPU who are openly wearing pins. Like I have one, I'll tell you, I'm against the windmills, but they are openly wearing pins in favor of it and have been advocating for these projects before they've even given any approvals. That tells me that they are not impartial. And I think that we have a right to impartiality, and that is part of the litigation that we're looking at. One of the things that's very concerning to me, there are two members that were formerly on the BPU who started asking questions about these projects. My understanding is because they started asking questions, they were removed from the BPU. That is wrong. That BPU is supposed to make sure that the decisions that are made for the state of New Jersey when it comes to utilities are the right thing. People should ask questions. Members of that board should ask questions. We're now seeing members, especially leadership within the Democratic Party, On the state level, you have the state Senate president, and you also have the Assembly Majority Leader. They're starting to ask questions about the financial impacts of what these projects are going to have. Now, I wish they would have started to ask these questions before they gave a more than $1 billion bailout to one of the windmill companies, but at least they're starting to realize that there are some serious flaws with this. Right now, they've set up litigation. LBI, the municipalities of LBI have the litigation set up as a shared service, which is running through Long Beach Township. They've already entered into what they've called their first phase of litigation. They would be willing to include Brigantine in that first phase at no charge right now. They've already got those fees covered, as long as we would be willing to commit at least to the second and future phases. What I would like from council tonight is to know if we're interested in getting what that shared service agreement would be, what those costs are to Brigantine, so we can set up a meeting with all of council to talk about, the potential standing in litigation. So I kind of want to ask council for their opinion, whether or not you guys want us to get that information and bring it back to council so we can engage in this process.
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. Then I will get that information. I've reached out to Mayor Mancini of Long Beach Township. We've been in communications about this. He was away on vacation. It's the only reason I don't have it for this meeting. As soon as he comes back, I will get that information, bring it back to council. It's something I think we need to review. But I will tell you, as long as it is not extremely cost prohibitive, I think we owe it to the people and the taxpayers of Brigantine to make sure that we all get a fair shake as we move through this process. So I'll come back with more information. And the big topic for tonight is our short-term rental committee is going to make its recommendations to council tonight. I just want to say up front, there's no action being taken tonight. These are committee recommendations. In order for recommendations to move forward, council has to vote on an ordinance or something of substance. So tonight is just informational. For the members of council, beyond just the members that are on the committee, which are Paul Lettieri and Dennis Haney and myself, no one else on council has seen these yet. According to sunshine laws, only 3 of us can deal with an issue at a time unless we are discussing it at a public meeting tonight, which is why we are bringing it here tonight. 1, for council to see what our recommendations are, and 2, for the public to know what those recommendations are. Oftentimes, governing bodies rush things through before the public has an opportunity to understand, digest, and comment. We are not rushing these through, and I'm going to pass this out in a minute, but just to give you an idea of the timelines. This is the timelines that we're looking at, and this is all on the paper that we're going to pass out to everybody. We'll also post it up on our city's website, push it out on the social media platforms, and also we will make sure that anyone who is on our short-term rental committee or short-term rental stakeholders email list gets a copy of this email to them too. We're also sharing this also with all the different media sources as well who are engaged in this process. But some of the timelines, obviously tonight we're moving the committee recommendations to full council. At the September 6th city council meeting, we're going to have a public discussion at the meeting. So this way people have had time to look at it, to think about questions. Council has had time to review it. We will put this up for a public discussion at the September 6th council meeting. No action will be taken at that meeting. What I want to make sure is that council has an opportunity to hear from everyone who comes to the meeting and speaks, that we can make a determination on how we move forward, whether the recommendations move forward as is, or whether council needs to make changes or tweaks to whatever it is we go forward. Our recommendation as a committee, and this will be up to council, is that our first opportunity to take official action could be at that September 20th meeting. So no action will be taken before the September 20th meeting. And that is to make sure that 1, we've heard from the public, and 2, the council has had time to make any adjustments or changes that they feel are necessary to what it is we're proposing. One of the things I want to clarify, when we first started this process, I was told that there was almost 2,000 short-term rental properties on the island. I asked for a breakdown and clarification of what those numbers are. The original number that was given to me combined all rental properties on the island. So I'm going to give everybody the breakdown. As of today, August 16th, we have 581 summer and winter rentals. We have another 353 summer-only rentals. We have 23 winter-only rental properties for a combined total of 957 short-term rental properties. We also have, I apologize, 734 full-time rental properties that are either full-time rented or available and not on the market, but 734. So those are the numbers that I have today from our rental inspection office. So I wanted to make sure that we all had the same numbers. We were all on the same pages with that. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pass this to council, and then I'll have this for distribution. Yeah, there's 900, here, can you take the pass down? 957 short-term rental properties that are registered. Now, one of the things that we are discovering too is that there's a good potential that not every short-term rental property on the island is registered. The number could be higher. This is strictly properties that are registered with the city. John, can you do me a favor? Can you, I guess, put this out so they can pass it back? I made about 60 copies, so if there's not enough, maybe people can share. So we've had a number of meetings with both members of the community as well as short-term rental property owners. We've also met with representatives of the newly formed Short-Term Rental Association that's here on the island. We've also been contacted from representatives from VRBO who want to sit down and also work with the city. And I can tell you with all of the different groups, all of the different stakeholders, everybody wants the same thing. We want to make sure that we're able to work together in this community and improve quality of life for everyone. One of the major goals of these recommendations is to improve the quality of life for the residents here in Brigantine. We've heard from more than 200 residents who all tell the same story. A number of the short-term rental properties on the island are negatively impacting their quality of life. One of the major concerns that have come up is for some of the property owners, short-term rental property owners, their business strategy, and people have told me this point blank, owners have told me this point blank. Their business strategy is to attract bachelor and bachelorette parties and special events, bring them in because it's easy money. So listen, you guys, public will have an opportunity to speak. What I'm sharing with you is what owners have told me and what people are experiencing. One of the things I want to say is we want to continue, Brigantine wants to continue to be a family destination. We do not want to be known as a party town. So that business strategy for those of the owners that are doing it, needs to end. That is something that cannot continue. It is easy money for people, but it is hurting the people of our community. I will tell you, me personally, it's not something that I am going to stand for. All right, so that business model needs to change. Now, you can look at some of the challenges. We talked about this before, but if you look at the next part, what I would like and what our committee would like is that our proposed solutions take effect by January 1 of 2024. One, that this gives us a little bit of time to make sure that whatever changes we need to make and move this forward, it also gives an opportunity for the community to understand what the expectations are. I am a big fan, and one of the things you'll hear me say all the time, good fences make good neighbors. There are a number of short-term rental property owners that have started up during COVID. Some of them understand the rules, some of them do not. We need to make sure that we have clear ground rules as we move forward, so everybody's on the same starting point. So that's one of the things that's going to be a part of this. Minimum night stays, April through October. 1 and 2 bedroom, no minimum. Owner occupied, no minimum. One of the things we need to define, and we'll need legal counsel on this too, is to better define what owner occupied is. I don't want to create a loophole where somebody says, well, I live here part of the year. You need to be on premises and live on premises at the time that that property is rented. From the discussions that we've had from the community and what we've looked at and what we've heard, we have seen very few to little issues with 1 and 2 bedroom properties and owner occupied, especially with the owner occupied. People who live on site aren't putting up with the nonsense and they're dealing with stuff up front. One of the other things that was very much advocated to us by the Chamber of Commerce is that we really don't have hotels here in Brigantine. There are times when people need to come in for different reasons and need to be here for a night. They're the ones a lot of times staying in the 1 and 2 bedrooms. Also, too, you want to make sure that you're not creating a situation where it's cost prohibitive, maybe for some of the smaller families or people who don't have a lot of money to come to Brigantine. So this is one of the considerations we made. When you're looking at 3 bedrooms and up, we're looking at a 2-night minimum. 3 bedrooms and up, 2-night minimum. One of the major concerns that has come forward is that sometimes people rent a house for a night, they want to throw a party. This will help to eliminate that. Some of the other municipalities, what they're looking at, 3-night minimums, 5-night minimums, 7-night minimums. I think that's too much up front, especially during the season. So one of the things we want to start with here is a 2-night minimum. Now, the thing that's going to be concerning to some people is November through March. Again, 1 and 2 bedroom owner occupied. We don't see the issues. I don't think a one size fits all model works. We're not going to put a minimum stay on there, but we are going to continue to monitor this. If there are problems, there are issues that need to be addressed, we can monitor this and we can change this year to year. If we need to make it stricter, we can. If we need to loosen up because things are working, we can do that too. And that is the stance of a lot of municipalities. This is something that needs to be continually worked at and monitored. Now, 3 bedrooms and up, 30-day minimum. When you're looking at November through March. Now, here's the reason why. People who live here in the community, they understand that during the summer season that there's going to be a lot going on in the island. People are pretty tolerant during that time to say, hey, look, there's things going on. We get that we're a tourism community, but at some point in time, people just need a break. What starts to happen is in the winter months, people start to drop their prices. They attract people who are coming in just looking to throw a party for a weekend. We can't have that. There are people who literally can't enjoy their homes because of this disruption that is coming from some of these properties. Now, one of the things we're looking at with that, you want to do winter rentals? That's fine. Have people come in, have them stay for a month, have them stay for the winter. You can still make money. A majority of the owners make their money between April and October, and that is from the owners that we've talked with. But I will tell you again, at some point in time, people in this community just need a break, right? And that's what we're looking at with that. We don't want to hurt people's ability to make money, but the short-term turnaround special events, that is something that is causing a negative impact to the community. When you look at the regulations and rules, one of the things we're recommending is that 25 minimum for 25 years old. 1 and 2 bedrooms, same thing. We're making that exemption, and obviously that should say owner occupied as well, 18 and up. That's fine. We understand sometimes maybe some younger people and some younger families coming in. We don't want people coming in, renting houses, throwing big parties. So we're looking at that. All short-term rental properties must visibly post maximum occupancies. Short-term rental properties are not allowed to advertise in combination with other properties. Their advertised occupancy can only reflect the single property. We have an issue where people are combining properties. We looked into it with our legal department. As our current law stands, although we have a maximum occupancy, our attorney believes that that is not in violation with the current law. That's something that needs to be corrected, right? Because that is not the spirit of what we're doing. All short-term rental properties must have a local operator within Atlantic County who can be contacted and is authorized to handle issues and make decisions for the properties. Now, I want people to know, this is something that is already current in our law and not being enforced. This is going to be enforced going forward. We can't have absentee landlords. There are people who have investment properties that live in other states who use online platforms that never set foot here, never deal with the issues. You need to have someone here who is local that can deal with the issues. If there's a problem, we need a decision maker. If there's an issue on a property and people need to be evicted, or your tenants need to be dealt with, you need to have someone here on site that can deal with those issues along with the city. All short-term rental properties with 3 bedrooms and up must have functioning noise monitors located within the property. One of the things we've seen with the good operators, those that have the noise monitors and can know what's happening in real time within their properties, and I don't mean people-specific conversations, but know when properties start to get loud, know when things start to get out of hand. We don't have issues with those properties because those landlords deal with the properties right away. Some of the properties we've had issues with, by judge's order, they have put these in. The landlords then know what is happening in those properties. They are able to address those issues, and we have had very little issues going forward. Better enforcement of the city's trash regulations. Trash must be put out within the proper times and not left on the street or the alleys for days on end. Some people's trash days, people put the trash out on Sunday. Your trash day might not be till Wednesday or Thursday. Trash is just sitting out there. Public Works has to go clean it up when the seagulls tear it apart. That can't happen. ACUA offers what they call valet service. You can sign up with that with the ACUA. They'll go get your trash. They'll bring it out. They'll empty the trash and put it back where it belongs. In some other municipalities, and I know Ocean City is one of them, there's actually a company that does that service for you too. But we can't have trash sitting out on the side, and there are options. Better enforcement of the city's parking regulations. This is something that I think is very important. I know our police department is already working on that, so we appreciate that. Any short-term rental property that receives 7 or more documented violations within any 6-month period will have their license immediately suspended for the next 6 months. Now, I want to clarify, this isn't 7 complaints. This is documented issues or documented actions that our city professionals have taken. So if our police go out and they're issuing tickets, citations, same thing with code enforcement, construction, public works officials, you need to make sure you stay on top of your properties. We also want to make sure that we're in communications with those owners so people know what's going on with their properties. Any short-term rental property who has had their license suspended twice within a 3-year period will have their license suspended for a 3-year period. The city will update its short-term registration to collect necessary information and to have short-term rental property owners sign off on acknowledging key regulations and penalties. One of the things we're finding out is some of the new operators do not know all the laws that they're being and rules that are supposed to be enforced, that they're supposed to be held accountable for. We're going to make sure that people understand and know the important ones up front. All short-term rental properties must demonstrate that they have the proper and required insurance to cover their operations. Zoning officer and fire official will both review short-term rental license applications or forms to ensure that the requested use of the property fits in within the zoning and permitted use within the property's location. And this is a concern that has come up with the difference between a rental property and a resort property. And this is where you get between that 18 and 24. Resort properties are not allowable within commercial zones. One of the things we found out through our short-term rental committee is that our zoning officer and fire official were not communicating when it came to the inspection or the rental licenses to make sure that what is in the zones is allowable. That is something we're going to do going forward starting in January, and that will set some of the occupancy in the non-commercial zones. The city needs to develop regulations that will prevent commercial use of short-term rental properties where commercial use is not allowable. The city needs to develop a set of rules that must be visibly posted within all short-term rental properties. This way, people who come in and rent also understand what the rules are here in Brigantine. Next part, city needs proper number of employees to appropriately address and track issues. One of the things we found is our employees who handle these issues are just stretched too thin. They have too much on their plate and they can't properly do it. We need to make sure that we have the proper number of employees to address the issues as we go forward. Properly enforce all regulations regarding short-term rental properties. Streamline the process for the public to file complaints concerning short-term rental properties. This was an issue. Obviously, with the police, it's easy. You call, if it's an emergency, 911. If it's a non-emergency, you call the non-emergency number. But when people had other issues and complaints, they weren't sure where to go, getting turned around at different offices. We need to streamline that process. We need clearly defined procedures on how the city and the community will handle issues with short-term rental properties. We need either a program or tracking system to help the city keep proper records and documentations of reported issues with all short-term rental properties on the island. I think this is something that's really important. I think right now the current documentation we have is not a clear and accurate reflection of the problems that are happening here within the community. I also believe that documentation works both ways. If there's issues with properties, we want to document that. I also want to, if our police go out because it's a noise complaint, but it's unfounded, that should also be documented as well. I want to make sure that we have proper documentation going both ways because I think that's important as we move forward. And that tracking system is going to be good too, because I want to make sure that if there's an issue with the property, we can pull up the property and accurately look at those records to share them also with the owners to say, listen, here's what we're seeing, here's what we're hearing. How can we work together to address these issues before the property becomes a nuisance property? City needs to improve its communications with short-term rental owners and operators to let them know the issues and challenges concerning their individual properties. Some of the owners we talked to, they've told us they didn't know there was issues or problems with their property. They didn't know that the community had problems. We want to make sure that when we become aware of situations, we pass that also along to the owners because I think you need to be fair with that. The city will maintain an updated list of all short-term rental properties that will be available to all city staff or personnel that deals with any potential short-term rental property issues. We need to streamline the license and inspection process for short-term rental owners. As it stands right now, people have to come in, you have to fill out a form, you have to pay in person, and you have to schedule in person. We want to set up an online system where people can file for their licenses online. We can collect the information that they can pay online. And also set up the inspections online. This will also streamline the process for the owners and make it a little bit easier on everybody. Implement an online form and payment system for short-term rental property licenses. Work with our state representatives to update state parking requirements to meet the needs of the shore communities. Currently, the UCC, which is the Uniform Construction Code, only allows for a maximum of 3 parking places per house. We used to require in Brigantine 1 parking space for every bedroom. The state changed those regulations to say it's 1 parking space for every bedroom to a maximum of 3. That is not something that the city has within its power to change. That is something that needs to come from the state of New Jersey. We will work with our state representatives to see if we can get them to take a better look at that, to see what we can do to improve parking in our city. Taxes and fees. The city is looking to implement a 1% tax as allowable by state law. This is on, what's it called? Transient Marketplace. Transit Marketplace. This falls under the hotel and motel taxes that are out there. the whole purpose of that hotel motel tax, which is allowable. And obviously, if you use a realtor or you do it yourself, that 1% doesn't apply. But when you use the online services, that is $1 for every 100 that is spent here in the city. And I'm going to break this down in two parts. The first part of this, one of the things that we want to look to do with the, let me do it this way: graduated license fee schedule. We're looking at $250 per bedroom. The fee will include both the summer and winter rental inspections. Right now, people pay once, then have to come back and pay again. This way, you pay once, it covers both your inspections for the year. For the one bedrooms, this should be a reduction what you're paying. For the larger properties, it is going to increase what you're paying, but you're also making more money on those properties. We also want to say that it is not fair for the smaller properties to pay the same amount that the larger properties are paying. Now, with both of these together, what we're looking at, and the reason why we're looking at generating fees and taxes off of this: one, we need to cover the cost of for the city, for the employees, the program, the tracking, and what we need to do to properly address this issue. One of the things that we are making a recommendation on as well, and this comes into that 1% tax that we're looking to put on this. I believe that there's a lot of things that we could do here in the community to make Brigantine more of a destination, to improve tourism and to improve our local business community, which will be a great benefit to all of our short-term rental owners that are here tonight. Brigantine is a tourism community. We want to make sure that we promote and encourage tourism here, but not at the expense of the people who live here. Also, when it comes to the investments here in the community that directly benefit tourism, we don't think 100% of that burden should be put on the taxpayers here of Brigantine. We think part of that should be split with some of the businesses that are here, and this is what we're looking at with this recommendation. I've gone over the timelines with this, and as I said, this is the first time the public's seeing this. This is the first time that council is seeing this, and we want to share this with everybody that's here. As I said, the goal of this, of our committee recommendations, is to improve quality of life here in Brigantine. And that is the most important thing to anyone. People who live here, we want to make sure that people can enjoy their homes, that people can sleep at night, and that is what we're focused on. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, so I covered all that. Before we open it up to the public, I'll do this. I'll have council, if you guys want to comment, you can comment later, but I would like to take, let me find my agenda, sorry. As I said, there will be a public discussion on this at the September 6th meeting. At that time, council should come prepared with comments and come prepared with any changes or recommendations. We'll also look at what we hear from the public at that time to look at how, if and how, what changes we need to make going forward. But as it stands right now, this is the recommendation from the short-term rental committee that we're making here to Brigantine City Council, as well as to the community of Brigantine. All right, at this time, we're going to open up for public comment. Anybody wishing to be heard from the public, please come up, state your name and address for the record. You will have 5 minutes to speak, and you can, according to our rules, you can only come up once to speak. So you can't come up, sit down, come up. It's one time. Go ahead, Dorothy.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council, City Manager. I'm Dottie Belinsky. I'm a property owner here. I have a duplex on Lafayette Place. I've had for almost 20 years. Actually, maybe longer than 20 years now. And somehow I got on a list where the Honorable Mayor, you invited me to a private meeting with other owners that rent their properties out on a short-term basis to get insight from our perspective. So I commend you on doing that and try to get information from all the constituents from every angle on this particular issue. That meeting was in July. And after that meeting, there was a few of us there that we got together, we exchanged information, and we thought it was a big enough discussion point, a big enough issue to reach out to as many people as we could that actually own short-term rental properties in Brigantine. So what we did, I was actually quite surprised when there was a big discussion about 2,000 short-term rental units on the island when there's like 9,000 properties. So we did an OPRA request of the Fire Prevention Office, and we requested requested a list of the properties that were short-term rental licensed. So we got some conflicting information back that I think we've now gotten to the bottom of. Thank you very much for that. So we don't have 2,000, as you mentioned. We actually have half of that at most, from what we can tell from the licensing. But we got two lists, one list which was summer rentals and one which was what I thought was summer and winter combined. So we took that list and sent a letter to everyone on the list, which included your report that you handed out at the meeting so that everyone would know about the information that was going on in case they weren't here. From there, we actually put together a group. We now have an association of 250 people from that list and from your other meeting that have sort of band together, and we've started what we call the Brigantine Short-Term Rental Association. So I can tell you the last month or so, we've spent a lot of time with these people. Several of them are here tonight. And we've done a lot of great work and actually have learned a lot of information from each other. And I'm sure we will have a lot of points to discuss on your proposal from tonight, and we will come back with that. We are somewhat organized, and Larry Costa, who's here tonight, and I were asked to serve as sort of the spokespeople for the group and sort of do some of the legwork, which I know, Mayor, you are aware of. So I also will say that I'm an attorney, but I'm not here tonight in a legal capacity. But I did want to bring up a few things. One is it's a very comprehensive proposal. And I think that when you were doing your investigation, there was this misunderstanding that there was 2,000 units on the island that were short-term rentals, when it's actually less than that. It was hard to get the information. So we're asking the Short-Term Rental Committee of Council to revisit these recommendations with the understanding that there's much fewer properties involved than what were initially thought. That's one thing. The other thing is, since we did get misinformation from the Fire Prevention Office, or at least confusing information, we were asking for an adjournment on the September 6th meeting. What we would like to do is also make sure everybody has the information. We'll do another letter to the people that we didn't notify on the first list, to the people that were not on the list. And we'll do that letter and send the proposal out so everyone is aware of this. But given the time frame to mail a letter, get back, get comments, group with us, figure out where we are. We think that September 6th is a little rushed, so we would ask for you to consider an adjournment of that date, maybe to the September 20th meeting, so we have time to make sure everybody is aware. With that being said, just a little bit about the association, and I have had an opportunity to spend a lot of time with these people, hear a lot of stories, a lot longer than 5 minutes generally for each one. And I can tell you, I fully respect that people that live here full time or that come for weekends and don't rent their properties out have some concerns. And we're willing to talk to them. And I think that these 250 people that I've talked to over the last month or so, they all want the same thing that you want and that everybody else wants. We want a lovely community. We all have a huge investment in our properties here. We love a family community. There's not much here but the beach. It's the old school beach that I know from growing up as a kid. You went to the beach and that's all you did. Maybe mini golf, right? And ice cream. So I think that we want to keep the character of it. I can tell you for sure, not one person in this group that I am working with wants what you consider a party house or an animal house with this craziness going on. We have big investments in it. We don't want that either. We don't want that for the people we rent to. We don't want that for us. We don't want it for the community. So I feel like we are very much aligned with the other members of this community. We're happy to work with you. We want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Do we make a little bit of money? Yeah, we make a little bit of money, but we also take a huge risk.
Dr. 5 minutes are up.
Okay. Well, we're happy to come back, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc.
Sorry, tall.
No worries, sir.
Sir, my name is Dan Below. I live at 4410 Wellerman. I want to congratulate you, and I'm surprised today. It's a very thorough assessment of both sides. I think your fees should be a little higher, but that's my opinion. The total cost that's to the city should be borne by the people who are making the money. The amount of money you're asking for is very small. I understand the association. I'm also a property owner. I also invest property in other states. So I understand your investment. Whether there's one house or 1,000 houses that rent it, all it takes is one bad house.
And then Dan, I apologize, just protocols, you can
I'm
address
sorry.
us.
I apologize, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I understand all parties' situation. I'm trying to be objective. I run a very large company. I have to be objective. But I also don't want to forget that I've been here for almost 30 years. I don't consider these houses animal houses. I just want them to respect the rules of the town to enforce them, and for the Airbnbs and all of the other online platforms to post those rules. Quiet hours in Brigantine are from 10 until 8, not 1 a.m. until 6. I did not come here this summer intentionally because I have a sick wife who is a senior citizen, and I didn't want her to have to deal with people out at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, drunk, 6 feet from my bedroom window. And there's nothing I can do about it because of the orientation of the homes on the street. I have two choices: stay and fight or sell it. And when the economy goes bad, all of the people who have invested, you've been here a long time. What did they do? They ran. The core people that maintain this island is the people that we need to look at, the middle of the road, not the extremes on either side, the middle of the road, because that's what keeps Brigantine alive, financially and as a community as a whole. Because before, when the economy went dead, there was over 600 houses that were vacant. Many of those were foreclosed, and look what they sold for. So with that, thank you for taking the step. Don't get lost in the sauce and finish it. Because we're not all going to win on either side. We want a happy medium that we all get along. This is a beautiful community. It's a nice place to be. It's a nice place to raise your kids and to have a summertime here. So thank you, and I'll be back.
Thank you, Dan.
Dan, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your last name. Your last name?
Below, it's spelled Belote.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's Nicole.
Hi, council. My name is Nicole Vada. Do I need to give my home address? I live at 101 6th Street South in Brigantine. I also own a rental property at 300 West Brigantine. Sure. I live at 101 6th Street South in Brigantine. I own a rental property at 300 West Brigantine Avenue, Unit 101 at the ocean front. So I am a resident now here. I do own a property. My reason for owning a rental property, I own a 1-bedroom condo. I was fortunate enough to stay home with my children. Once they went back to school, they do attend Brigantine Community School. It was a way for me to go back to work. I was a health and phys ed teacher and an athletic director for 10 years in South Philadelphia. And this was my way of having my own type of business and being able to be a part of my children's lives and stay home. I think the most concerning thing I'm not going to speak for everyone here, but I think we just kind of want to come to an agreement with some of the residents to work together. The people that are here, I can tell you, we are not really part of the problem. We maintain our properties. I think the biggest thing for us is we don't hear or have seen complaints. I know if I have a complaint, I've called the police. They come to my house. I think things just need to be documented, and I don't want it to be a battle where people just don't want rental properties in Brigantine because they're on their streets versus, we don't have party houses, so to say. I don't want it to be a battle. I live here too. I don't want somebody outside. If there is a complaint or a noise ordinance, why aren't people calling the police and getting this documented? I think we have a great police force here. We have a great fire department. Shout out to them. I saw them save someone's life on the dock the other day, and it was amazing. They gave someone CPR for 10 to 15 minutes, and it was incredible. So I love this community. I just want us to come to some sort of agreement that's fair for everyone and not pointing fingers as to what people are doing wrong versus right. And yeah, I think that we just want to sit down with maybe some of the residents and talk about this in, a fair way. None of us are here we have a lot of money invested in our properties. We don't want them damaged. We don't want people. I just had somebody here contact me. The air conditioner broke. I called my electrician. He was there within literally 3 minutes. He lives on the island. I support local businesses. I hire local people. And I would say the vast majority of us, 98% of us, are doing that. And we just want a fair shot at running our business just like anybody else. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Larry LaPere. I live at 215 27th Street. I have a house there. I rent the house out during the summer. We spend a lot of time there during the off season. I have been visiting Brigantine for 30 years now, and I was lucky several years ago to be able to buy a house. So I kind of understand both sides of the rental issue, being both a tenant and a landlord, just to let you know that. I have one question about the tax. You mentioned that you're proposing 1% tax. I'd like you to explain how that is. Is that a 1% tax on all retail on the island? That's just a city charge for everything? Or is it a 1% of the rental fees that are collected by landlords?
So the state right now, what the state tax is? Is it 11?
It's like 11. Yeah. 11.
Yeah. So what is it? 11 what? Point. Thank you. So right now, the state of New Jersey collects 11.65. Thank you. Let me write that down. 11.625. It's the same thing. They allow municipalities to collect up to 3%. We're just looking at.
Is this a sales tax though?
It's the same. It's the transient rental property tax that the state of New Jersey has.
It's on rental properties.
It is on, yeah.
Gotcha.
When it's done through online services. So if you do it yourself or you have a realtor, it doesn't apply.
Okay.
And that is how the
we
state
use a
of New
local
Jersey
realtor.
set it up.
So, okay. Thank you for the explanation.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, the owner doesn't pay the tax, the tenants that are renting, that tax is added onto their bill.
Yeah, it's a part of the fee that is paid. So when they go through the online rental site and they book it, they put those fees in there. So it's not paid for by the owner, it is paid for by the user.
Right. Okay. Well, in the end, it's all paid for by the user.
Sure.
But okay. Yeah, I haven't used the online stuff. We use a local realtor and it's been working out very well. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hello, I'm Bonnie Nikotok. Knocking over the microphone. I live at 810 Market Avenue in Deptford, New Jersey. I have, excuse me, a short-term rental on 2nd Street North. I have a large house, 5-bedroom, 4,300 square feet. I've had this rental for 15 years. I had multiple rentals on the island and we've sold off most of them, and this is the only one we have left. So in quickly looking, and we've put together a lot with our group, Mayor probably is aware of that because Dottie's been keeping him informed. And a couple of things that come to mind when I see your proposal here. We keep talking about bachelor and bachelorette parties as if they're the scourge of the earth. I don't think bachelor and bachelorette parties are the same perception that people have from days of old. I have bachelor and bachelorette parties come to my house. They stay for a 2-night minimum. These people that are getting married are having $80,000 weddings. You know, they're making 120 grand a year. They're lawyers, they're teachers. So they're not rowdies, but I keep the prices up on my house and that keeps riffraff down. I also interview the people and I'm directly in contact with the people that are renting my house. I haven't had a complaint on my house in 15 years or any of my other houses in that period of time. I think part of the problem is that if there's problem houses, and I'm going to bring this, to the table, if there's problem houses, And I understand it's a handful of houses. It's not the people here in this audience. It's not hundreds of rental houses that are a problem. It's a few problem houses. And the city, it's their obligation to handle that through the police department. Additionally, if people are having a problem, like the gentleman who spoke and said people are making noise at all hours of the night, they need to report that to the police. That's going against the ordinances of the city. So the 3-bedroom up to 30-day minimum in the winter, I don't rent my house right now in the winter, basically. But if I wanted to, I want to be able to have a family come for Thanksgiving dinner or for Christmas. We decorate our house beautifully. So I was thinking of doing those things in the winter this year that I haven't done in the past. Or Thanksgiving. The people who rent my house during the summertime or off season would rent are people who are families. They're grandparents who the only way they can lasso and get on their children's schedules, because we know you can't get on these kids' schedules anymore. They rent a house, they bring the whole family there, their children and their grandchildren are all spending time in a nice environment. They're enjoying this city and they're spending money on the nice quality shops that we have. I think the caliber of the businesses is improving and we're getting more businesses here, which also benefits the city and it benefits the residents that are here now. The tax, first of all, I don't like when people are counting my money in my pocket. The council has no idea what the cost of my house is. So if I'm getting $10,000 a week for my house in the summertime, you don't know what my mortgage is and you don't know that I'm not getting any income the rest of the year. So that all gets offset. So the city would be getting easily $10,000 a year from my house in the 1% fee. I would like to know what the city's expenditures, I'm only one. You're saying there's 700, and I'm going to say half of them are large houses. That's just a guess. That's just an intuition thing. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars that's coming into the city coffers, which is a good thing. But what is it getting spent on? So reaching in my pocket and taking it out, well, where's it going? Additional employees. How many are you proposing? 6? How about the pensions on those employees? That's something that needs to be considered because I understand that the city might have some issues with that. So please take that into account.
Bonnie, your 5 minutes are up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Richard Decker, 1313 Ocean Avenue. Mine's a little different. I have a lot of notes here, so if you just bear with it. I'm here tonight. I was here in April.
If you could speak into the microphone.
I was here in late April and May about a situation at the Laguna, the business, the Laguna and Beach House Bar and Grill on the beach. We have the city, when I came to the council meeting in 2013, we have an agreement with that facility, with that business. And they weren't supposed to put coverings over anything outside on the beach. The only thing they were allowed to have was a umbrella for the hostess stand. So she'd be out there in the sun and we agreed to that. They weren't supposed to have music after 10 o'clock. No alcohol was to leave the restaurant to go onto the beach or to the street. And the parking was to be taken care of and they were to have a service there to make sure that they didn't park in my driveway, et cetera, et cetera. My problem now is that my bottom deck, all I can see is tents and there's now a new bar on the beach where they put up another tent. My top deck is the same. All I see is tents and the new bar tent that they put up is a second bar. Just bear with me. I basically am here that you advised me to go and talk to the people and you were going to talk to them and see what could be done about this, structures that have been put up that weren't supposed to be put up on the beach. I did go and I approached the owner, Robert and Tony. And they told me that they would get back to me. I went back and I asked what was going on. And they said, could you just wait till after 4th of July? That's our big event. And they didn't have the inside finished, the bar and all that. And if I could just wait till after the 4th of July, they would get back to me. They didn't. I went back and saw them another time and they said to me, listen, why don't you contact the people that put these tents up? Really, I don't know why I have to contact. That's their responsibility. I don't know how you feel about that, but why am I doing that? Finally, the last straw was I went back and seen Tony. He says, I'm not an owner. You have to see Robert, and I don't know what he wants to do. So I was basically just led along all summer so they can get to the end of the summer with these tents up. They had no intentions of ever taking them down. So my question to the council is, what are you doing about this? Did you go and see him and did he give you any input on what he was going to do about blocking my view? And what do we do that the city has an agreement with this business that they wouldn't do this? I didn't complain when they put the roof over top of the bandstand. I didn't complain when they had a few tents that didn't block my view. Now we're into tent city. I would like to know from the council what can be done since you have an agreement with me that that's what they would do. You have an agreement with them, that's what they would do, and the agreement is violated.
Yeah, but, Tiger, you've talked with them. Have you talked with Richard about the situation?
Yeah, so sorry, thought I unplugged. I had a conversation with Tony and he told me that you guys had talked and I was told a different side of the story, which I'd like to talk to you after the meeting offline, get some more details so I can have another conversation with him. I had a conversation with him probably 3-4 weeks ago. And he said that you guys were working on something together to.
Well, they're working on, why do I go to the people that put the tent up?
No, what I mean by that is like you guys were in discussion to come to a resolution together.
But we've been discussing since May.
Right.
That's where
what I'm
my
saying.
problem
I was
is.
given, obviously I was given bad information.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's why I'd like to have a discussion with you after the meeting.
Okay.
Let me get some more details.
But my question is, we have an agreement. We have a case number. We have an agreement here made with the council. What can the
there
council
a
do
copy
to
of
make
that
that
agreement?
agreement go in
Do you have a
place?
copy of that agreement?
I got it from your office here.
Do we have a copy of that?
I can show it.
I don't have it on me, but.
If you could make sure that our city.
I have it here with
has
me.
a copy of that, yeah, because I'll be honest,
It's
that
filed with the city here, so yeah, but you can have a copy of
yeah,
mine.
the agreement was made before, I think most of us were on council, so I don't know that I've had a chance to see it, but I would like to see a copy of that agreement and have our city manager work with you to resolve the issue.
So is there anything that can be done? That's my question.
So I think we're going to have the city manager work with you to resolve the issue. It's not a decision I can make right now, but I can tell you that we're going to have our city manager work with you.
Okay.
Do you have his contact information?
No, but I'll get it.
Because I don't know why, we make an agreement if we can't uphold it, you know what I'm saying? And it was very explicit that my view was not to be blocked. I agreed to other stuff, and that was fine. And when they put up the structures where I didn't see it, I didn't complain, but now it's expanding like the homeless communities do. You know what I'm saying? It's just getting ridiculous. And I'm sorry they have a business, but they have a business there that they knew what they could do. I don't even know how they put another bar on the beach, to be honest with you. That one's got me totally puzzled.
Sure. No.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah. Did you want to meet me now or?
Just, if you want to get his contact or talk to him at the end of the meeting. Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joe Goldberg. I'm over at 1307 Ocean. This has got a lot to digest, but just a couple of comments. I'm not sure if we can get away with the minimum age rent of 25. I think it might be a violation of the 14th Amendment, equal protection. Yeah, so that was one of them. I mean, this may not be well thought out for moving as fast as the timeline is. My recommendation would probably be look at a 6-month timeline to try and implement this or try and vote on it. But that's one. The other one is it seems like it's taking advantage of good property owners who are paying a lot of taxes in this town, and they don't have 3 or 4 kids in the school system, which would be raising the tax base here. And there are a couple that are problems. Why aren't we finding the ones that are the problems? Make it so expensive for a bad property owner that they need to give it to a good property owner. I mean, that's just, it seems to be, that's the biggest one. And, you know, we can look at the city needs. Number one, just go to that, address employees, track issues, enforcement. If the issues are enforced, they don't exist, or they should go away very quickly. I think that needs to be really forefront in the consideration of how you move forward. That's basically, oh, and the fees. I'm all for the 1% tax. I think it's a great idea if we can do it. Raise the tax base, put some of that money towards some law enforcement, towards some code enforcement, towards the inspections. The $250 per bedroom. What about the people like we that rent out 2 or 3 times a year? And now we're going to be $750. We're going to be probably 15% of our income for the year because we're going to be paying, you know, $1,000 a year, let's say, for rental inspections. That just doesn't seem to be fair to somebody. Do it based on maybe the number of rentals. And the other thing is, why are we doing 1% on online and not doing it through agencies? That makes no sense.
That's the state law.
Okay, that's a good reason. Thanks.
That's the state law.
1% is a state law. That it's only through the online. It's not through you know, local agencies. That's basically it. Thank you, guys.
Joe.
Thank you. Patrick Costello, 4506 Whalerman Road. I've been coming to Brigantine for 50 years now. I own a property, as I said, and I do short-term rental as that last gentleman periodically through the year, very briefly. A couple of thoughts about this. I question, I saw that there's 200 complaints. Over what period of time was that?
It's not 200 complaints. It's more than 200 people we spoke with that have repeated issues with short-term rental properties.
So, and what time frame? So we don't know how many complaints there actually are then.
So I will tell you, the people we've talked to, it's for some people that are sitting here in this room, it's been more than a decade of issues.
Okay. I have to say, when I look at this, it seems to be a little bit of government overreach. Quite honestly, I see a number of things in here that would be problematic. The 30-day minimum for basically the wintertime rentals. As one of the women spoke, what if somebody wants to come for Thanksgiving? I personally have had a number of people come to stay who've been here for AAU tournaments, funerals, other charity events, and I think you're limiting those people. You speak about tourism, you are prohibiting that aspect. I personally promote a lot of the businesses on the island at my home, tell them where to go to get coffee, where to go get burgers, where to go get whatever they might need. I'm promoting those businesses. And I think by doing this, you are indirectly hampering your tourism aspect. I question the point about the, you say that you would like some kind of rental agent. I'm not really sure what that's going to benefit. Having someone who's 45 minutes away is going to handle a property issue. You can take it right to the property owner. I think you already have the rules and regulations and the police department to handle as other people have said, problems that you have. I'm not sure that I feel like you're putting a lot of this on a very small number of homes because you haven't really told us how many properties are the problem. You spoke about parties and you mentioned the word party frequently. I got to say, most of these people who own these properties don't want people to have a party on their property. Most of them do have 25, whether it's legal or not, to have an age minimum. Most of them already have a minimum night stay. It's not really feasible to have a one night stay and make money. I'm not sure who you spoke to who said they only own the property to rent it out for parties. I have to say that would seem to be illogical to me. So again, I think that when I look at this, it seems to be an overreach. When you talk about hiring more employees for the city and taking on, $75,000, $100,000 expense for each employee that you're going to be hiring to manage an issue that I'm not sure you need to manage when you already have rules and regulations to manage this when you have a difficult problem. I do absolutely see where you probably need to streamline things and hone in on the problems, properties, nuisance properties, and I'm sure you already have rules and regulations to deal with those properties. I'm just not sure why that hasn't been implemented up to this point for those places. But, just in closing, I think there's also difficulty with full-time residents. I have full-time residents who live around my house who have parties and are outside with music until late into the night. I think it's just an issue that everybody deals with to some degree or another. No one likes it and no one should have to deal with it, whether it's a short-term rental or a full-time resident. So again, I think you just need to implement the rules that you already have. And I'm just not a fan of this, what to me seems a little bit of overreach and at the expense of people who are really not, this is not a major business for any of us, for many of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Overreach is a great word. Paul McGovern, I'm at 117 Shipmaster Drive. I am not a short-term renter. I live here permanently on the island. I've been coming here my entire life. Over those 50 plus years, it's actually a little bit more than that, but we don't need to get into the details. I know of one incident in the houses that I lived in or where my family lived, and that was a serious mistake made by a short-term renter, and they lived to pay for that experience because it completely destroyed their house. And they were shocked by it. They actually ended up having to sell it and took a significant loss on that experience. I have 3 points I'd like to make. I think this group who I have no association with, never connected with them, makes a really good point. And it goes back to the overreach. Nobody wants to have their house destroyed. Nobody wants to have parties or disrupt their neighbors, not the short-term renters, not the residents. So the extent of these proposed changes feel like overreach to me as well. Point number one. Point number two, that I think parking is a red herring. This island swells during the summer with influx of daily visitors, weekend visitors, people coming to my house, people coming to my brothers and sisters' houses on the island. My street, there's zero parking available from people coming to visit the people who live on the street. That has nothing to do with short-term rentals. There are no short-term rentals on my block or anywhere near us. So let's be careful about parking regulations focused on trying to address short-term rentals. And my third point is this. You're talking about hiring additional staff. There was no idea of how many, and it'd be nice to know if the funding that you're intending to increase through the taxes and fees is going to be sufficient to cover the salaries of those people that you need to hire for these incremental services. I'm sorry, there's one more point that I forgot to make. I was shocked at the number of regulations that are not being enforced today. And I just wonder, because many of them are significant, if they were being enforced, would we be having this conversation? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyle Everly. I am a short-term rental owner. I appreciate everybody's time today. At the outset, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, and the rest of the council for expressing sentiment that you want to move forward in a way that's fair to both sides of the issue. I do appreciate that effort, and I hope that continues going forward. I think the gentleman left, but the gentleman with the yellow shirt, I just want to applaud him. He's on a different side of the aisle than I am on this particular issue, but he expressed himself with civil discourse. He did it in a mature and responsible manner, and I hope I follow in his footsteps. I think he left. If anybody knows him, please share those sentiments. One thing I'd like to address with full-term residents here, who perhaps have made complaints. That gentleman in the yellow shirt mentioned that it only takes one bad apple. I don't disagree with that. We all teach that to our children. It's all something we learned as children. But I think it's important to acknowledge that there's many of us that are good apples. I hope I consider myself one of them. I think the city hears from residents who make complaints. I think those complaints then become issues that have to be dealt with. I don't think you really hear from people expressing good sentiments. They're not coming up to you saying, hey, everything's great with the short-term rental next to me, because why would they report that to you? You don't hear from them. This is our opportunity to speak, and that's why I'm speaking now. I think there's a narrative developing. I think the last gentleman just touched on this, that any issue that goes on somehow is relatable back to short-term rentals. And I think that narrative has to be nipped in the bud. I think we need to actually look at what's going on, what's the source of these, whether it's parking, whether it's trash, whether it's noise, which houses is this coming from, and is the issue broader than just short-term rentals? I really just want to take a moment to talk about the positive experiences that I've had, because I think the complaints can be so loud as to the so few houses that may be involved with those. I'm currently renting, I have a place with my wife. We're very proud to be owners. We're proud to contribute to Brigantine. We have a guest book that we leave out that directs people to local businesses, highlights the farmers market, tells them to go walk at the seawall. And I like the fact that people are coming to our place and going out and spending their money in Brigantine, and then they're reporting positive things back to us. Right now, I have a tenant who is down for 3 weeks and spending time with family, his kids, their kids, their grandkids right around the block, and I'm happy to be a part of that. The most touching thing that we've had a family that came down whose daughter was having heart surgery at CHOP. They just wanted to spend their time at Brigantine, at the beach for a weekend in the off season before taking her up to CHOP. So when me and my wife hear about that stuff, that's rewarding. And I think the good stuff hasn't been brought to your attention enough. I know deep down you guys know it's happening, but nobody's going to report this stuff back. It's not what happens on social media. We don't go around talking about all the good stuff. We make complaints. Nobody's going to email you about the good stuff, but it's happening. I guarantee there's people behind me that are having similar experiences. So there's more to this issue than just the bad apples, so to speak.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Larry Costa, 210 34th Street South. I'd like to make 2 points. First is about the actual number of complaints. We understand it to be about 8. So how many complaints have been filed with the city specifically? Do we have an answer to that?
I will tell you, and I've said this publicly many times, I don't think the number of complaints that have been filed with the police department accurately reflect the issue that is here on the island. Many people have told us either A, they believe that the police are busy and they don't want to bother them with what they think is a small issue for the police to handle, or B, they're fearful of retaliation from the people in those properties. So not from the owners, but from the people that are there. And I'm just telling you what people have shared with me. I think that the issue is much bigger than what's being reported, which is why a big part of this is proper documentation. We need to make sure that we have hard evidence going forward of where there are real issues or where it's just people complaining and it's unfounded. I am a big proponent of documentation, which is a part of this proposal. Yes. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Yes.
Larry's speaking. We will respect his time to speak. Thank you.
With the lack of actual complaints, let me give you an analogy.
Sir, I'm going to correct you, Larry. There is not a lack of actual complaints. I'm telling you, I've talked with more than 200 residents, the same thing. I take those complaints very seriously.
Documented complaints. Allow
So I'm
me
going
to
to tell you,
correct.
there is not a lack of complaints.
Here's a quick analogy. I saw a guy driving 50 miles an hour down the road. Are we going to fine everybody in Brigantine that owns a car? I mean, we've got a very small number of complaints, but I'm going to get nowhere with that. Allow me to address the tax. I'm certain no one on council or in any office on this island has run on a platform of increased government and increased taxes. We, Brigantine, if this is implemented, will be the only barrier island in the state of New Jersey that has an occupancy, effectively an occupancy municipal tax. Lower Township has something, but they're not specifically a barrier island. As you know, Lower Township consists of Cape May, Diamond Beach, and a large portion of the mainland. We weren't able to find evidence of any other barrier island with which we compete that has the tax. Having said that, if we make an assumption that the average house is 2 bedrooms, the registration fee alone will raise $475,000. If we make the assumption that it's 3 bedrooms, it's over $700,000. It seems to me, and again, I don't know very much about government staffing and those sorts of things. I was in private industry. But, we're looking at $500,000 to $700,000 just with the fees. Is that not enough to accomplish what the city wants to accomplish? Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name's Eileen Forrest, and I live at
I'm sorry,
3200
What was
Ocean.
your name? I apologize.
Eileen Forrest, and my husband's been coming.
What was
here
your
for
address? I'm sorry.
3200 Ocean.
Thank you.
And my husband's been coming here for 65 years, and we very much feel as though we're part of the Brigantine community. And I think if he could be here full time, he would. He just needs to support me. But I want to say, like, Brigantine has unbelievable technology. And I've benefited from the EMTs and the police and the firemen, specifically when a car ran into my house. And the services in Brigantine are fabulous. And I have to think that the technology that we have here could help us be more transparent and more inclusive with all of the people that have summer rental properties. And that's the only thing that I'm asking, is taking some of the technology that we have and documenting. And I know you just said it's really hard to document, and I'm taking that into account, but there's got to be a way to get numbers, because numbers don't lie and numbers help us tell a better story. And by sharing numbers, and not names, but numbers and how many times the same person's made the complaint, it helps people feel more included and helps us to buy more into the agenda. And I do agree with the second to last person that just spoke, that had the 3 ideas and then came up with 4. There's a lot of regulations that aren't being enforced that are extremely reasonable and that should be enforced. And I think there's a couple tweaks that we could make with some of the new suggestions. But if you include us and we all come to, I think it'll work out. So that's my whole point. So thank you.
Thank you.
Andrea Constantine, 214 Second Street North. The people that are here tonight are the people that have respect for their homes in this community. Just like I was a teacher, and the people that came for a parents' night were the people that had A students. So we value this community. We value our homes. I don't know what VRBO or Airbnb or what you think you would like your home to be like, but I know what I want my home to be like. And we say, respect our home, respect our neighbors, respect our community. I have people that come back year after year with their families and their grandchildren, and they email me when the hurricane came, how was your beautiful home? And we're friends on Facebook. And, it goes beyond just rentals. It goes into like somebody that becomes your friend. And I have a lot of them through the last 12 or 15 years. And our home is 20 years old, and we keep it like it's brand new. And they all are amazed. But that's because it has to start with the people that are renting. And they're the people that you need to find out who are not doing the city justice. So my one thing I want to say is, if you are giving short-term rental property owners 7 documented violations in a 6-month period, that's ridiculous. How about 2? How about make it something that you enforce with authority, and then they can't rent anymore, because these people are the problems, not the people that are in this room and the people that care about their renters and the community of Brigantine, which we all love. And we want the people that live here full time to love it as much as the people that come and rent here, or the people that have homes. We rent a home, we stay in a home for the summer, and it's our home away from home. And we are happy to be here. And I hope that we can work something out with the community and the law enforcement and anybody else that comes to the island. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, Suzanne Felinas, 1314 Ocean Avenue. I actually have had a unique experience in Brigantine because I came here, we bought, and we spent our summers here when my kids were little. So my kids would do the swim lessons at the city dock, and two of my kids took their first steps in our house here. So it has a very special place for me. When we sold our house in Mullica Hill, our new house wasn't done, and we took a serious loss when we sold in that 2008 market. So we moved to Brigantine, and I lived here for 4 years. Three of my kids went to the elementary school. My youngest even went to CTOTS when that was still around. So we love this island. But what happens is, you know, your kids get older, and then your summers become spent at a lacrosse or a soccer or baseball tournaments, and you can't use the house. And you're like, crap, I got to send these kids to college. And you start thinking about the costs. And then you start renting because you love it, but it can't sit empty. But also, like the one gentleman was saying, if it's sitting empty, no one is spending money at our local businesses. And I think the biggest thing I'm having an issue with is the local operator. Mayor Sarah, if that's something that's already on the application, I'm sure I have a number of people on the island I could maybe ask to be that name because they know I run a responsible business. I've been running for 10 years without issue. But it goes back to the same thing she was saying about our guests. A lot of my guests, they come back every year. And I even send like holiday cards with a lot of these people. Same thing. After the storms, they reach out to us and they say, hey, is everything okay? And I don't think you necessarily understand the relationships we have with some of our guests. Also, as I was sitting here, I got a text from my guest that's at my house now saying, my neighbor's having work done. He's having some decks redone. And they said they left, it was either a ladder or something big, and it was blocking my side of the driveway. They were over at the air show. And she's like, my husband can't lift it. It's too heavy. So I'm sitting there texting my daughter, Haley, can you text so-and-so? Can you see if there's someone like one of your friends on the island that you went to school with that can come over and move this? And I just had 2 kids go move it off the driveway to the other side. So, you know, I don't think you realize sometimes the relationship we have with the island. We may be running now, but it's because, you know, our kids have gotten older and we can't be here all the time. And we've always talked about maybe coming back. I have 2 in college right now. My youngest is going to be a senior in high school. So I'm going to have the pleasure of having 3 kids in college at once, 2024 and 2025. So, you know, for a lot of us, it does make sense to rent, but we also use the house and we take a lot of pride in the house. And I just think that's something that needs to, you know, we had an issue one time, and like, you know, we're probably an hour away from here. We're in Woolwich, like Mullica Hill area. And, you know, my husband will hop in the car and drive down here. So a lot of us are very, very responsive. I have friends that have rental properties in the Outer Banks, and they use an agency because it's not realistic to think that someone's going to be able to hop in, you know, and drive all the way down to the Outer Banks. But for the most part, so many of us, like, if there's an issue, we address it because we have relationships with these guests. And as much as we've had our pipes break twice in the winter. One of the times we were actually in the house, believe it or not. So I kind of shy away from the concept of the winter. But I can definitely say I have definitely had people reach out and ask to me about renting over Thanksgiving and over the holidays. So I think there's definitely families that want to come during the holidays that wouldn't necessarily fit that 30-day thing for some of the people that do want to entertain those types of rentals. I just think there's, you know, I just think it's important for people to get a face to the people that are renting their properties. We're not all these these $1 million investors. These are our homes. We take pride in them and we use them as well. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Melissa Galley. Can you hear me? I know last time I wasn't speaking close enough. Okay, Melissa Galley, 112 12th Street North. And I just would like to echo what pretty much everyone has come up here. I think all of us can resonate with bits and pieces of what each other has said because we've all been in that experience different parts of short-term rental. For us in particular, we only rent our house out in the summer. We started looking 3 years ago to buy a house here, and that's right when the prices skyrocketed. So for us, it's a way for us to actually afford to live here. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to. And so we enjoy it, when we can, and we rent it to help offset our costs. But one of the things I wanted to know was when the committee came up with the $250 per bedroom and the 1% fee, do you already know based on the license information that you have and the number of bedrooms of each, of the licenses? I think it outlines how many bedrooms that you have. Do you know what that revenue is right now? Do you already know in advance what that is going to generate for the city?
We have our rental inspection office doing those calculations now.
So when you recommend that you need 6 people, we don't know. I'm assuming based on the math that Larry did, it will well exceed that cost. But also, I just urge you to consider that if you're moving to online platform for license registration, possibly license appointments, that's taking some workload off of someone who's currently doing that now. If you're going from once a year inspections, from twice a year potentially, if someone rents it,
You'll still
summer and
have
winter.
twice a year inspections, but instead of coming in and have to do it twice, you'll be able to pay for it. That fee will cover both inspections. So it's not cutting the workload of our employees. The other thing I'm going to add too is one of the big things that people talk about is enforcement, proper documentation, all of that. The employees we have right now can't cover all that. So when you talk about the fees, we're looking at those, what we need for the staffing and resources to adequately do what you and so many people have asked.
But I think in part, what it sounds like and I've been at a lot of these meetings when the residents are sharing, it's not necessarily about that. It's about having, can the police be responsive, and do they, are the calls placed? Can the police get there to say you need to keep the noise down? So I don't know that 6 people in a city office are going to resolve that issue. But then to that end, I think as someone brought up, a lot of times it's the short-term rental owners seem to be paying for an issue that exists in the city in general, which is how do we respond to noise and complaints? So if we're going to put noise monitors outside our rentals or inside, I don't know enough about them to know if they go outside or inside. Are we doing the same for residents? I mean, I know that's a silly question, right? And of course the answer is going to be no, but residents, is someone going to come to my house when I'm owner occupying my house in the winter and saying my daughter has her radio too loud? Maybe, but I feel like we're taking the problems of the whole city and putting them on the shoulders of the short-term rental owners. So that's it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hello, council. My name is Stephen McWilliams, and I live at 1322 Wilmette Road. I purchased my property in April of 2021, and I've had close to 100 different stays, obviously ranging from long-term rentals to short-term rentals. In all of those rentals, I haven't had any issues with my neighbors or the police, and I do feel like we are all being punished because of a few properties, which most of us are all aware of. The bottom line is this: short-term rentals are the lifeblood of Brigantine's local economy, and the issues that are being raised in regards to them are extremely exaggerated. The commercial businesses on this island depend on the revenue that our rentals generate if their operations are going to survive year-round. During the off-season, when Atlantic City is hosting a number of big-name acts, our renters come down for 1 to 2 nights. So instilling a minimum night of 3 or 4 nights is not realistic. They go to Yanni's, Andre's, Cordovari's, and they keep these businesses afloat, if we're being honest. Without our short-term rentals, these places would honestly be a ghost town for the most part, and this city should be grateful for the revenue that our properties are generating. That being said, there are obviously a few beachfront properties that are marketing to younger groups that are causing a lot of these issues, and I won't name them, but everyone in this room knows which ones they are. and we're all dealing with the wrath of their neighbors because of it. Because these streets don't allow beach block parking, cars are piling up in the driveways and angering the people that live there. So we all have to deal with these far-fetched claims and deal with the fallout as a result. These problems should be dealt with on an individual basis so that the rest of us responsible property owners are not penalized as a result of a few. We care about this island. We obviously care about our properties and our neighbors as well. And we hope that council makes the right decision in regards to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Marnie O'Riordan at 1101 East Brigantine. I just want to say that we're all residents, whether they're temporary or permanent residents of Brigantine, and I feel like it should be fine funded. If you're having trouble and there's this much trouble, if it was fine funded and you went to the people that are actually causing it, because if we're going after the landlords, it is possible these people could just keep renting different houses. You should actually go against the culprits that are causing the problem and go ahead and find them for their misbehavior. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you. Two gentlemen.
I'm Chrissy Keffer, 124 4th Street South. And I would like to make 3 points. So first, I teach high school and college. And any student who hands me a paper that just says people say there are, people do, that's not going to get a good enough grade because I need to see supporting evidence. Martin Luther had a problem with the Catholic Church during the Reformation. Tell me what those 95 problems were. Explain to me what they were. Because otherwise, we're just dealing in vagaries, and that's silly. That person would not get a good grade on a paper. So I think we need to take a little more time to kind of flesh out the information and the evidence, and then we can start creating proposals. I think it's a little premature right now to start creating solutions to problems we have not fully identified. Second, I think we need to identify the benefits. Not just kind of, again, dealing in vagaries, we love our renters, we've benefited the neighborhood, which are true, but the financial benefits. How much do the businesses prosper during the summer off the short-term rentals versus the winter months? How much tax revenue do you create from short-term rentals paying their taxes at these houses, especially when they don't use services 8 months of the year for the most part? Your school has 404 students. Your budget per capita per student is $39,020. That's higher than the most elite prep schools in most big cities. And a 22% math proficiency. These are problems you need to address. So I, as a taxpayer, would like to know how the money is being spent. I want to deal in figures, not vagaries. Third, I think that if we add this 1% to the 11.625%, we are taxing, as you say, the renters themselves. And those renters are going to choose to go elsewhere. We're taxing them at this point almost, I guess, $100 some, $120 almost per $1,000. So hundreds of extra dollars for them to come to this Barrow Island vacation town. They're going to choose to go elsewhere. But we're also picking on a population. We're creating barriers for a specific population, not everybody in Brigantine, but the short-term renters specifically. And I think that's a danger to our community and to our businesses. So I think we just need to flesh out, gather more information, create some true statistics. We can't, until tonight, we couldn't even say how many short-term rentals we had. How can we proceed? How can we go forward if we don't have the information on which to base our judgments? It just doesn't make sense. So we love this community. We hope we contribute to this island. We love our renters. We give them family memories for life. We don't want a party house. I don't want a party house. I've never had a complaint. So we hope to keep this island beautiful and thriving. I create a beautiful welcome book with all of our local businesses to support with their numbers, with their information. My renters love it. They text me all the time and say, where should I go? What should I do with my kids? What can I do? So they support the community too. Again, we cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater. We need to deal with the problems. There are problems, and we need to address those specifically. But punishing a community that really facilitates revenue and business and goodwill on this island is not something that we should be doing. We shouldn't be punishing these few or these many for the problems of a few. Yes, let's deal with the few. Let's start enforcing the laws. If, as the man in the yellow shirt said, my sick wife has somebody screaming at 2 a.m. or drunk, call the police. I don't want my neighbors to be 2 a.m. screaming outside my window. I don't want my renters to be doing that. I don't want the lifeguard across the street to be doing that. So we need to make sure that the laws we're enforcing are being enforced and evenly enforced. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Good evening, council. My name's Andrew Whitehead. I live at 3319 Ocean Ave, Unit 2 here in Brigantine. I'm here to speak on the ongoing debate on the short-term rentals. As you can see here by everybody speaking, it seems that you may have poked a hornet's nest for the responsible homeowner, right? There's only one resident that was here today that, from all those complaints that you said you had 200 complaints, there's only one that really voiced the other side. I'm not saying more don't exist. I'm just here to help change the narrative on who I think the short-term rental owner here in Brigantine is, and how I came down to own my property in this amazing town. So here's a short synopsis of how I became a stakeholder here in Brigantine. I grew up in South Jersey my entire life. We went to all the short towns growing up. We didn't own a house here in Brigantine or down the shore, but we always wish we did. So we always just rented a house, whether it was a week or a weekend. It was a huge part of my childhood. Let me repeat that. It was a huge part of my childhood, and it did have a lasting impact. It had such an impact that I literally changed my career to help achieve that dream my parents never did. I bought a shore house, and I rented out as a short-term rental host. And I'm a full-time host now, not a landlord. I provide 5-star experiences for people that rent. I even had people that loved my stay so much that they bought a house here in Brigantine. And I didn't know that tonight, but they're actually here in the room. So renting out a place is a big deal to me. It helps offset the expenses, the mortgage, the HOA, the taxes, utilities, the insurance, the maintenance, and the upgrades, etc. The idea is to pay off the vacation home for my family in the coming years, and even retire here if I'm fortunate. So yes, I'm a vested member in this community. I currently don't vote on small town issues, but my grandmother does, who lives on 27th Street, and so does my uncle on 5th Street. They see how hard I work to rent out to quality family-oriented guests, the kind of people that we want to share the island with, respectful adults and family-oriented stays. So I'm 100% on board with stopping the party noise problems. But the long-term residents that were voicing complaints here today, I don't have those problems at my place. Don't punish me. We don't advocate, or please don't advocate for the nightly minimum. That 30-day winter rental, that's a kill shot. I make 1/3 of my income off of the winter stays. Those are 2-night minimums at my own place. So a 30-night minimum, gone. You'd be forced to sell my place, which I worked very hard to make a success here in this community. It would be a damn shame. Please work with the Short-Term Rental Association that has gathered here tonight and comprised of like-minded, responsible homeowners such as myself. I've been speaking with them over the past month, and they really want to solve these problems for here and then for the long-term residents that live here. We get it. And to the council, please help the residents like my grandmother, but don't punish her grandson while doing so, who is a responsible homeowner and a stakeholder in this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nilda. I live on 37th Street, and I am a owner occupied 2-bedroom unit in Brigantine here. And basically, I just feel like we are being used as scapegoats because of the complaints that we don't even really know what the complaints are. So I think we need to know, besides the bachelorette parties, what type of complaints are coming in and where are they coming from? Because everybody here seems like responsible short-term rental owners, whether they live on the island or not. So I don't think it's fair to us that we're being, accused of certain things without any kind of evidence. I, for one, love this island. I think most of us are proud of the property. And I challenge you, Mayor, to go out into the community and look at these rental properties for yourself and see how they are maintained. Because I do not believe that we are the ones that are causing the problems. I think part of it is that it has become a territorial issue and resentment from the residents who actually live here, and not so much the isolated complaints that are coming in. So I challenge you to do that for us. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Good evening, Jack Tierney, 220 Fifth Street North. Just to add a few things, I don't know if landlords are legally responsible for their tenants' violations of law. I also don't think we can prove that they've done illegal things. We have a side-by-side duplex. We rent to families with young kids, grandkids. I think we can all agree that those kids are really cute, especially when they're playing on the beach and in the backyard. So in our situation, we're next door almost the entire summer. But if there was something going on next door, I don't think we can go over and knock on the door and say, knock it off. Legally, I don't think we have that right. I don't think we could prove anything that would be a violation of law that would, encompass this subject. So I think it's been said before, I think the real focus has to be on who can prove something is being done, who can enforce that. If you leave it up to the landlords, there could be physical confrontations between the tenants and the landlord. So having a landlord who's right next door or a local agent, I don't think they have the legal capabilities like the police do to handle those situations. So that's all.
Thank you. All right, if there's no other public comment, we'll close the public portion. Are there any final council comments?
Nobody else is going to speak? Anybody?
Neil, the public portion is closed. It's council comments now. Rick, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to everyone for some very well articulated positions, which will help me make a better informed analysis of the recommendations that have been put together by our council. Also, for the record, 2 people spoke tonight who live on Whalerman, which is my neighborhood. One spoke about house with loud parties. Another one spoke about someone outside the window being drunk. Neither one was me. I wanted to be clear for the record, neither of them was me.
I will second Councilman DeLucre's comments that it was great to hear everybody, and everybody did articulate their thoughts and feelings very well. And I know on behalf of council, we all appreciate that very much. Thank you.
So one of the things I want to say is really appreciate all of the comments here tonight. And one of the most important things is building a sense of community. We have met with representatives of the Short-Term Rental Association that's here. We will continue to meet with those representatives, as well as we will continue to talk with the community. As I said, this recommendation, this is a starting point. This is where we are based on our conversations with people in the community, based on our community meetings, based on email, based on contact, based on everything we have. And I know there's a lot of people in this room who won't agree with this, but I want to put it into perspective for the community. The biggest fear that most community members have when a house is sold in their neighborhood is that it's going to become a short-term rental property. Whether you agree or not, that is a real fear widespread across the island. This is something that needs to be addressed. We'd like to work together in a partnership to come up with a meaningful, good way to do this. But how things are can't continue. I don't disagree that there are good owners. And I know, looking at the people in the room, most of you guys are good owners. But we need to address this issue. Needs to be addressed. We saw a large increase in short-term rental owners, especially when it came to COVID. COVID created a good market. People weren't traveling. We also recognize that that is also starting to change. People are starting to travel, international travel, and stay in hotels now. I understand the financial fears that are happening with short-term rental property owners. I also know that if we don't get the numbers right, people could lose their homes. That is not what we're looking for. We're looking to work together to build a community so that we can all live together in peace. And that is our goal. That's why I said nothing here is being rushed through. This is 5 or 6 months of work to this point. Obviously, wanted to share it publicly. Also want to bring it back up again publicly. So people just like you have the opportunity to have your voice heard. And that is the job of any elected official. We're supposed to listen to issues, hear both sides, and make decisions that make sense. And I will say the same thing that I have said all the way through this process. I don't do things fast. I do them right. And that is what we're trying to work towards. So I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Can I just say one thing,
Go ahead.
Vince? I'm sorry. I just want to thank Mayor, you and the council for all the hard work that you've done for this, where we are at today. From the feedback we've gotten in the past from some of the people that, where the problem houses are. And definitely, I want to thank the people, the great short-term rental owners that came out tonight to hear what you had to say tonight. I was certainly going to consider all your input. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion second to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, seeing none, meeting has been closed. Thank you very much for coming out and watching your council team at work.